Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast / YouTube / We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. My boy Jay Hiss over in the six. How you doing?
Chilling, man, doing me. Back at it again, but we back at it again with another guest, man. Another good guest here, the LA Clippers player development coach, Chad Bell. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Clutch Talk, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Happy to be on the show.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir, man. Well, like how Jay said, Chad is the Clippers player development coach. So we're very excited and honored to have him on the show. I'm just gonna, talk about his basketball journey and where it's gotten to him now and what's next. So let's go ahead and get straight into it, man. What we like to do over here, and we like to start where it all started. We know you were born in Inglewood, California, but Chad, who put that ball in your hands and at what age?
I got into basketball at a very young age, not organized wise, but just interest wise. Growing up, my first memory was on a black and white TV. A lot of younger people might not know or understand that, but I used to watch KCal9 on a black and white. Me and my mom's coming up, and my first memory and first inspiration was watching Magic Johnson and the Showtime Lakers when I was 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. So this was still in the mid to late 80s. And then from there, I just showed interest in hoop, and my mom is really the one that, kind of encouraged me to do it. She's a former high school player. So she has some experience playing herself. So that's kind of how the seed got, planted for me. I never really played organized ball when I was a young kid like that. I really didn't get in the thick of things consistently until I was probably 13 years old. So, but I still played on the playgrounds, at parks, basically kind of like street ball. So, driveways, homies' driveways in the neighborhood, stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got going.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And, I heard you mention Magic. So is that who at a young age, you were trying to model your game after? Was there any players you were looking up to playing man, I want to play like that. I want to be like that?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously growing up in that Los Angeles area, Magic was everything. He was a huge influence on not only from a basketball perspective, but also just from the community perspective. So when I saw him, a bigger guy handling the basketball, and then at the same time when he was playing ball, he brought so much excitement with his style of play, and then also he did it. It looked like he was having fun. So that's what I wanted to do. And he did it with a smile on his face, and he was competitive, and obviously he was a winner. So initially on, that's who I looked up to, and then as I began to be a student of the game, obviously during that time Kareem was much older, but very very much so effective. And my mother, another example of my mom planting that seed. She kind of educated me on Kareem and his path, dating back to UCLA and all that stuff. So she gave me books. Back in those days, you had to go to the library to get information. You couldn't just hop on Google or whatever like that. So I began not only to be in love with the game of basketball from playing it and having fun and watching the Showtime Lakers, but also I began to do research and study. So, I took a liking to Kareem, Magic, a bunch of players that I admired coming up, moving on in later years, Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Rasheed Wallace, guys like that. So I just was a basketball junkie in terms of the following of it on TV and everything like that. And then also, doing my research and learning my history.
Okay. And we obviously do research before interviews and everything like that, Chad. So when I'm looking up your profile and everything about you and your past, I didn't realize you're 7 foot. John just said, we met this dude at a Clippers game, all this. He says that you're 7, and I see you're 7 foot. So my question to you is you talked about growing up playing on street ball, all that, your development in basketball. were you like a late bloomer in terms of height, or were you always kind of the biggest kid on the blacktop type of thing, and that's how you developed your game? Because you talked about Magic, Kareem; those are two kind of different players in terms. One's playing more so in the post, the other one's a guard. But how was your development in terms of your height and everything in relation to ball?
Well, I was always tall. You know, I have tall parents. You know, my mom is about 6'1". You know, my father, who I got to know later in life, is 6'9". So, you know, for me, I couldn't help but be tall all the way through. So I was always the tallest kid in the class coming up. But of course, still, even though I was always tall, I still had my moments of a heavy growth, which I did a majority of my growing in junior high. So, for me, I didn't really focus on my height. I knew I was taller, but that's not something I really just focused on, and I just played the game, like I didn't understand the difference between positions and this, that, and the third. So I just played. So early on, I played more like a guard than I did a big guy. I didn't, really get into like post play, a heavy dose of it until I got organized. Naturally, they see this big kid, they make you a center and say, hey, back in those days anyway, these kids had the freedom. They were like, hey, man, you got to get in the post. You're a big guy. So I had to learn that. I thought I could just do what I did on the playground. And I learned quickly that wasn't the case, especially back in those days.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, that's what I was about to say. You were ahead of time because that's really where the league is now. It's really a positionless league. It's not to the point where, if you're that 7-footer or you're 6'9", they don't just throw you in that block. They got players like Jokic and all these big time players who are also able to handle that ball, man. So much ahead of your time. So that's credit to you. But, we fast forward to high school, you end up going to West Chester High School. So talk to us a little bit about how your high school basketball experience was. We know about your senior year, you guys were nationally ranked number 3 spot. So talk to us about, how that felt night in and night out to come in and have the target on your back being a nationally ranked team.
Oh, it was fun. I mean, my time at Westchester was some of the, golden years of my teen years, playing basketball at a very high level. I believe my senior year, we had probably like 13, 14 Division I guys on our roster. So, I mean, it was fun. Those guys were my teammates, but a lot of people don't know, like we were friends, and we never thought about, oh, we'll be nationally ranked. We just, had a chip on our shoulder. We were just some kids from the inner city, with hoop dreams. We didn't never spell it out to each other like, hey, we want to be nationally ranked. We just had the attitude of nobody can beat us. And then it ended up equating to, number 3 in the country. And if you would have told us, like, back in those days, we were like, okay, we're number 3. Like, what is that? Like, why are we not number 1?
Right.
But that was our mentality. So it was fun, and I think everybody benefited from it. Everybody went and had an opportunity to play at the D1 level and get a degree, and you had some guys go play professionally overseas. Some guys get NBA opportunities and stuff like that. So we got what we needed to get out of that situation.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And you talk about, there's about, like you said, 13 or 14 players going D1. Well, I think that's a special use case. Most schools, they don't got that many players going D1, going D1. So you guys were definitely a great team. And then that's where I want to get into now. Your first stop at college was at University of New Mexico, and that is a Division I program. And every time we have a guest on here that goes D1, I can't let it go slide. Congratulations, making a any Division I team is huge flowers. So big shout out to you.
That. Yeah, appreciate that.
No problem. So what I want to know is, why did you choose the University of New Mexico, and could it have been anybody else that almost got you?
Oh yeah, well my recruiting process was pretty crazy, pretty hectic. I had two really good final years of high school, and then during the evaluation period, I was trending upward. So my recruitment picked up. I had a lot of, high level programs recruiting me. And I wanted a healthy mix of everything in terms of my top schools. I wanted high level schools, mid level schools as well. So, during the final stages of my recruitment, I was getting recruited by, North Carolina, UCLA, Kentucky, Memphis, and then obviously New Mexico. So, a lot of people looked at my recruiting at that time like, he probably would choose like the Carolinas or maybe Memphis, which, Calipari had just got there first couple of years, but he was hot on the recruiting trail, getting, really good recruits. So for me, I just evaluated the programs that was recruiting me. And my whole focus was what impact will I make from day one on campus? And I thought New Mexico stood out as a team that I would make an immediate impact. I had it in my mind that, that's a place that I can go to and possibly start. Even though a lot of people didn't look at it like that, I did. And, ended up happening. I started as a true freshman. So I reached the goal at that time that what I wanted to do, and I was happy with the decision.
Okay. Was it specifically like in that you talked about the process of the recruiting at New Mexico? Was it just the playing time, or was it like the visit that said, okay, I want to be a Lobos, right? I think that's the mascot, the Lobos. Like, what was it that made New Mexico the choice?
Well, a lot of people might not know this, but New Mexico is a special place. When you talk about a fan base, it's up there with the top fan bases in the country. I mean, I played in front of 18,000 every night in New Mexico.
Wow.
So the fan base is crazy. At the time, that's when the message boards, chat boards was going bananas. So it was a crazy time. Even when I committed to New Mexico, I had Lobo fans going to my high school games. So that goes to tell you what kind of fan base they had. And my visit, I was probably one of the higher rated recruits at the time to come in for a visit. So I came in during like the Midnight Madness type of weekend, opening football weekend. So it was a crazy event. It's funny. I was talking to a former teammate, Marlon Palmer. Shout out to Marlon Palmer, who was the starting point guard at the time. And we were reminiscing at NBA Summer League about my visit. And he said, I didn't even think about it, but he said, man, that's probably one of the top visits ever at that school, for a guy coming in. They had me on television, at the Midnight Madness event. It was 16,000 fans. They were chanting my name. It was signed. So I just liked the way I was received, and I basically felt at home. So, from there, I didn't need to see nothing else. That was the place I needed to be at. So, I ended up canceling my visit with Memphis, and then the following weekend, I was set to go to North Carolina, and I just canceled it because I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Wow. Okay, man. I'm right there with you, Chad. If they would have been John, I'd have been over there just signing the commitment papers right there.
Facts.
So I'm right there with you. But you go from straight out of high school to a Division I program, which is huge, like how we were talking about. But what I want to know is, were you ready for that level of competition? I'm guessing you guys being the third nationally ranked team in high school, you guys are kind of running through some teams, but come Division I, everyone is kind of that good. Everyone's either at that level or around that level. So did you have an adjustment period, or did you come into this thing ready?
Well, I feel like I came in ready. I played for a high-level high school program. I played for a legendary high school coach. Shout out to Ed Azam. Ed Azam is a specialist in terms of getting guys ready for the college level, even just on a simple level of being able to practice every day. Sometimes you got freshmen come in and they can't handle a rigorous week of practice. They can't get through one practice. So Coach Azam did a great job of teaching, and our practices at Westchester was very rigorous. They're demanding, and he challenged you mentally. and he challenged you physically. So if you're physically and mentally strong, you're able to handle it. And then, we face all the top competition in our schedule. And then also, with AAU, we face top competition. And then, also I was blessed to be, in a great city like Los Angeles, where in the summertime, I was blessed enough to go up to UCLA men's gym and play against pros in the summertime. So I kind of saw everything. So I wasn't really afraid. So for me, it was just like, let's go, let's do it. This is what it's all about. This is what I work for.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, and then, we keep it pushing, and then you end up transferring to the University of Nevada, Reno. So for first, if you don't mind sharing with us, like, how was that transfer situation? Why did you transfer? And talk to us about that year that you unfortunately had to sit out because of the transfer rules.
Well, I originally came to New Mexico to play for Fran Fraschilla. Many people know Fran Fraschilla, who's at ESPN now, and I played for him my freshman year. And then unfortunately, he was released of his duties, and we had a new staff come in. I tried to get acclimated with that staff, and just at that time in my life, I felt that I needed to change environments, and I did that. So I went to Nevada, signed. The head coach at the time was Trent Johnson. I mean, you might know, coached at Stanford, coached at LSU, coached at TCU. Currently the head coach at Cal State Northridge, who's a tremendous leader, one of the best in the business, a great man, and a great father-like figure. So I wanted to play for him, and I fit in with the players that he had on the team at the time. So. And I like where they were headed. They hadn't quite got over the hump in terms of being a tournament team, but I saw they were right there. And I knew that I would be a major piece into helping them get there, as well as other guys that were coming in. And it was perfect. So for me, it was a right decision, easy decision for me. Trent ended up leaving after my redshirt year because we had so much success. We went to the Sweet 16, but the program, he did such a great job. The program was still intact, and we were able to, have a lot of success. Every year I was there, we won conference. Every year I was there, we went to the NCAA tournament. So I got the vision I had for that team. It came to reality.
Absolutely, man. And you talk about playing in the NCAA tournament. I mean, even people that don't watch college basketball, they're gonna tune in just for that tournament. So that's a worldwide thing, man. So talk to us. How did it feel to be in something that people around the world are watching? I remember in high school, I used to have teachers who used to like stop class and put the game on put the games March Madness on the big screen. So how does it feel to participate in such a loved worldwide tournament?
Well, it was everything, I grew up a, college fan myself, watching the NCAA tournament. So to finally play in it as a player, it was a dream fulfilled. And just being out there playing, it's like you're playing on the stage. It's like a hoops heaven in a sense. And it was so much fun. And then going there to be able to have some success. So it was an amazing experience.
Absolutely, man. And before we get to your time, your professional time, I want to know, you're clearly playing top tier talent, top tier program, Division I programs. Is there a matchup that you to this day are like, boy, that one was a tough matchup?
We had some mini battles. We were able to have a home and home with Kansas. The first game we were able to beat them, and then the second game we went to Allen Fieldhouse and they kicked our ass. And we had to chew on that for a whole off season. And then we were fortunate to return that next season and beat them. At the time, and I'm pretty sure it might be still there, we were one of the few teams that come into Allen Fieldhouse and beat them. But it wasn't easy. Obviously, Kansas is a tremendous program. With tremendous coaching and tremendous players. So that was a tough battle for us. And then also within our league, having to battle UTEP, who has some really good teams. during that time. And then, my senior year, Utah State, who was at the time kind of dominating the Big West, they moved over to our conference, who was, coached by Coach Stu Morrill, a very successful Division I coach. So those games were tough, and we had some battles outside of our league as well that, equal teams, like in terms of the level mid-majors, the St. Mary's. We had some battles with St. Mary's and Pacific as well. So we had our fair share of battles. We were battle tested, and that's why, especially during that time, Nevada was able to have success when it came to postseason play.
Okay. Yeah, those are certainly some big teams. We know that Kansas is. John and I are from the Bay Area, so we certainly know St. Mary's, and we know. Did y'all play them there at St. Mary's, or was it in Nevada?
We had a home and home. I believe
Okay.
my junior year they came to us, and then my senior year we had to go to them.
Yeah, that's one of those small gyms, but they certainly have like a lot of energy. The fans and stuff. It's like don't judge a book by its cover, as you probably remember.
Not an easy place to play at. And it's a small gym, very intimate setting, like a high school gym, and the people are right there on you. So
right,
and obviously they play really well in their gym, so it's not easy going in there to win.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and let's talk about your pro career. So after you finished up at Nevada, what was the decision, number one, to go pro? Because I mean, you can do a lot of other things as you see outside of basketball or in whether it be still staying in the game. But what went into that decision of now you want to enter the pros, agents, all of that? What was that process like?
It was easy. I know I wanted to keep playing because honestly, I had been through so much with the transfers, different coaches. I never really got to tap into my potential from a personal perspective. So I still had a healthy appetite for basketball, and I hadn't even begun to reach my pinnacle. So I feel like when I got out of college, I grew so much as a player, and it was unfortunate that I didn't get to showcase that in college. But that's how life is sometimes. So, once I graduated college, I started training like harder than I ever trained in my life. I got in the best shape of my life. Played NBA Summer League with the Atlanta Hawks. Didn't play much, but it was a good experience. Played in the G League my first year. Didn't play much there, but, I had times, it's a long season where I did play and I played well. So it was confirmation like, hey, just stay in this thing and keep working. And was able to didn't win the championship, but played in the championship game my rookie year with the Colorado 14ers with a bunch of really good guys. So it was a good experience. And then from there, I always knew I wanted to, try overseas, where I played in Romania, where we were fortunate to be in the Euro League. So we had a couple of cup games versus a team out of Turkey. So it was a good experience. Not many people, despite the glitz and glamour or how it may look to somebody on the outside, just having an opportunity to play for pay, that's an accomplishment, and I'm very proud of it to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. At any playing pro at any level is an absolute accomplishment. So congrats on that too. So then like throughout your pro career, the process of being with the Hawks and all that, I know you said you got limited action in that, but was there any tough matchups, tough places to play? What was that like, just like throughout that pro process or pro career of yours?
Not really tough. It was fun to play different places, different environments, different situation. Obviously in the G League, my first year in the G League playing with the Colorado 14ers in the playoffs, us winning a big home game versus the Albuquerque Thunderbirds, which was a big win for us. And then going on the road and playing the Idaho Stampede, which was a huge game, which were kind of a favorite to win it. And we went in there on their home floor and beat them. And then going to the championship, having a chance to beat the Dakota Wizards in the championship. those are fun memories that I always cherish. And then obviously playing over in Europe, getting a chance to play in that cup game versus the Turkey team and just get the experience of every day working to get better and trying to figure things out and navigate.
All right, cool. So then, Chad, after your last year playing Romania, you ended up to go coach at the University of Wyoming. And we'll be real, Chad, you're our first like real coach that we know we've had on. We've had on some Division I players or some players who kind of on the brink of the league, played in the league a little bit, but we haven't had a coach. So you're a first. So not only thanks for that, but talk to us about how that was. And have you always known you wanted to be a coach?
No, not necessarily. Well, a little bit, yes and no. I was just young, exploring, in life. But first thought of it came when I was in college, when I had the red shirt, and really take some time and sit down and really just watch the game because I couldn't play because of transfer rules at the time. And then as I go past college and stuff, I had, certain coaches that, would kind of encourage me, and they said that they thought it'll be something good for me that I should possibly look at. So I always wanted to stay involved with the game. So I decided to give, the coaching thing a shot.
Was there one coach? I know a lot of times, for me, I know personally growing up basketball, there's like one coach specifically that really stood out to me and was like a reason like, oh, if I ever wanted to stay in basketball, it'd be specifically because of that coach, because he made me love the game and become so much, not only love the game, become passionate about it. Do you have one of those coaches that for you, he was kind of the example of, if I end up coaching, like he could be the reason why, or was he the reason why?
Well, I've been fortunate to have some really good coaches. Like I mentioned, my high school coach, Ed Azam, I learned a lot under him, playing for him. So he's one that, definitely inspired me in terms of becoming a coach. And then also Trent Johnson, who I didn't have a chance to play on the court for, but I had a chance to play for in terms of, I was under him for a year. And just him as a Black man, the kind of leader he is, he's a family man, he's a husband, he's a father. He's not just a coach, but he's also a mentor. He was a guy that I can talk to about basketball, how I can get better. He's a guy that I can talk to about, decisions in life. I can just get advice to this very day, especially with him down the street at Cal State Northridge now. So those guys were, very influential. And then also guys I didn't know, guys like John Thompson. I grew up, looking up to John Thompson, being able to watch his career and the impact that he had on young men. So I knew I always wanted to have that kind of impact on young men, playing the sport. So that's initially, why I got into it. So I was, I've been able to, influence and help some young men, not just with basketball, because I feel like it's bigger than basketball. Basketball is a short time span of your life. It can only last so long, but the relationships you develop along the way, that's what's important. The lessons you learn along the way, that's what's important. And the impact you have on people, that's what's important.
Man, absolutely, for sure, and I'm sure you had tons of impact on a lot of students at in University of Wyoming. So then we keep it pushing in your coaching career. You do a 360 or 380, or I don't know what the number is, but you come back to the University of Nevada, and you come back now as a director of basketball operations. So talk to us about how that felt, to be back in where you were playing, and now to be the director of basketball operations. And if you're okay with talking about some of your roles and some of the stuff that you did there.
Well, I was back home. That's where, I really got it cracking at the University of Nevada. I was able to go back home and be amongst those fans, and be with the coaching staff, and to work for David Carter, who was the head coach. who was an assistant coach when I was there, who recruited me to Nevada, was the lead recruiter with me. He's an LA guy, a very close friend, and a guy I get advice from that I talk to a lot, who's an assistant at LMU now. So being able to go back there, be with those student athletes there, to be back in the community, working for David, it was awesome. And we were able to have some success there and, do what we do. And that's win another conference title. It didn't go to NCAAs, but we still won another conference title. And that's just what we do at Nevada.
Man, all you doing is winning, man. I like to hear that. I like to hear that. And then you after your stint at Nevada, you had a stop at Southern Utah University as a second assistant, and now we get to hear you are the Clippers player development coach. So, for people out there wondering, like, how do you get in a position like this? How did this come about to you? And just what are some things that you're focusing on as a player development coach?
It's just relationships. It's not a exact way to get there, but obviously you got to have some relationships and build some connection there and get people to trust you and being in the right place in the right time. And obviously, for me, well, my faith is God. I let Him lead my life and lead the way for me. So that's how I was in that, be able to, be in that position. What was the last question you asked?
I was just like, what are some things that you focus on as a player development coach when you're working on some of your players?
It's very simple: getting guys better, getting guys better within what we do, what we teach on a day-to-day basis, and helping those guys be successful in the program that's set by Coach Ty Lue.
Okay. It's I know you can't get into specifics, but in terms of players you work with, is it for big men? Is it specific plan that you have for them, and then guards have a specific coach they work with? Or are you just working with all the players specifically, and they each have a plan, like you said earlier, a plan that you have them on in their development and getting them better?
Well, we break it up. Guys work with guards and bigs and stuff like that. But we have a very versatile staff. And in terms of like what guys can do, like for me, I don't put myself in a box. I can work with anybody. I don't care if you're a point guard, shooting guard, small forward. It doesn't matter to me. But in terms of my specialty, because I played the position, obviously, I work with big guys, but I'm not limited to that, and not limited to anything else. Like how I tell people, I'm labeled as a player development coach, but I'm just a basketball coach. Whatever is asked of me, I do. And when you're in the team setting, coaches have to play their role too, just like players. And I set my role, and I just try to be the best that I can be and shoot to be the best that I can be, in the business, and, do whatever is needed for me as far as my team is concerned. But overall, I'm just a coach. I enjoy being in the gym. I'm in the gym at least 5 hours a day, at least. And that's, a lot of times it's much more than that. But I love being there. I'd rather be there than anywhere else. And, just trying to help players get better.
Okay. And then I want to find out like more in terms of, you talked about development before kind of games. What about during games? I know I whenever you're on TV and whenever I'm on TV, you're watching a game as a viewer, you always see kind of like 10, 20. I don't even know how a lot of coaches on the staff. What is your role during games? I know you said you coach, you're a basketball coach, and I understand that. But in terms of games, are you specifically talking to players and giving them pointers, stuff you worked on, and tips throughout the game, or how does that work in terms of your role during the game?
I just observe what I see during the game from a team perspective, and any guys that I'm working with, I observe that as well. I try to just help my head coach with anything that I might see that, immediately can be, fixed. And, same thing with the players. If they're, a little bit off on certain things and certain assignments, I try to help them with that so that we can make some in-game corrections, because you never want to just continue to do anything that can keep us from winning a game. So other than that, I keep it just that simple. And then obviously when the game's over, I watch it again, because that second set of eyes is going to tell everything. And then, from there, that allows me to take that and implement it in a workout so that we can repeat those things, so that we can improve on those things to just limit any errors and continue to build on the strengths.
Yeah, I absolutely, Chad, and you mentioned Coach Ty Lue, and me and Jay both think he's one of those underrated coaches who really doesn't get all the credit that he deserves for
NBA
the great coach.
champion.
NBA champion, NBA champion. At the end of the day, a great coach who knows how to put his players in place to win. You being on that staff, I do wonder, what to you when you see Ty Lue coach makes him the great coach that he is.
Well, first, Ty just loves basketball. He's a basketball junkie, and his brain works. It's like a computer. He retains a lot of things. He remembers a lot of things, and just his ability to make adjustments. That's huge when you're trying to win a game in different situations. And Ty is very quick to react and make proper adjustments for his team. And also just, his mindset, he wants to win, and he believes in doing things the right way. And he believes in, working on your habits every day and doing things the right way. And when we're out there just encouraging our guys, he keeps the players confident. He believes in them. It helps a lot when you have a coach that's, believes in you, wants you to take those shots, wants you to make those decisions, and he begins to trust you. It brings a certain sense of confidence for the players. And then, encouraging guys just to leave it all out on the floor and being able to deliver with results. So it might sound simple, but that's who he is, and that's who he is every day. And he just really dives into it and loves, what he does. And I think he's probably the best in the business at what he does. And I'm lucky and fortunate. I've been blessed by the basketball guys just to be around him every day and with my little notebook taking notes, because you never know how life can go. I might have an opportunity to be a head coach one day. And, these little lessons that I'm getting every day that I might not be able to call Ty and interrupt his day and get certain answers, but I gotta jot this stuff down so that I can have it for me when I get that opportunity.
Man, absolutely. That right there is the definition of being a student of the game. So, definitely hats off to you for that. And that's your current role right now. You are currently the Clippers player development coach, and that's what I want to know now is what's next for you, Chad. We talked about you being born in Inglewood, you being a high school phenomenon, going to college and dominating in college, having some times in the pro, and now you're coaching. So what's next for you? And also talk about any other platforms that you got going on and all that.
Well, for me, I'm really excited, and I'm working with the youth. I've taken some time out in the off season to develop a show called Time Out with Chad Bell, where I'm really excited about. You can check out Time Out with Chad Bell on the UBN Go podcast studio channel on YouTube, and then you can also check out Time Out with Chad Bell on Apple platform. So you can check out my show on the Apple podcast platform. My show, it's incredible. It's amazing. It's where I really dive in deep, and I have real conversations, kind of how we're having here, where I get people from not just basketball, but from all sports, former athletes, coaches, and things of that nature, where I talk about their journey and then I talk about their methods, and I talk about their not only their success, because everybody hears these stories. Well, I worked hard and I made it. You should do the same thing. Well, it doesn't necessarily always work like that. You can work hard and not make it, but guess what? That's a success. You know what I mean? Because you lived through an experience where you're trying to get somewhere, and you had a pitfall, but you also have something to keep you going and a story to tell. So my show is for the youth. I'm taking time out to inspire the youth so that they can hear these stories from people who doing what they set out to do right now, and they're able to have a roadmap and a guide for them. A lot of people they don't have anybody in their ear. They're trying to figure out on their own. Well, they don't have to do that anymore. They can just go to my platform. You know what I mean? So you can follow me on IG at Coach C Bell. All the links for my show, Time Out with Chad Bell, is there. Doing it for the youth, inspiring the youth each and every day, because I want to see them win.
Man, yes, sir. Man, I love to hear that, Chad. I love you giving back to the youth, and for all the family that's out there listening, man. If you guys want to stay up to date with Chad and everything that Chad's got going on, everything from his podcast, even to his personal Instagram page, I'm gonna link everything in the description down below. So make sure you guys go check that out. Go show my guy Chad some love, man, because man, Chad, we really, really appreciate you doing this. But before I get you out of here, Chad, you talk about inspiring the youth. So if there's a kid out there listening who wants to be like you, who wants to go through that, play basketball, or at the end of the day go coach, what would you give him? Like, what would you give him, like, a best set of advice?
Don't be like me. Be better than me. You know what I'm saying? Work hard. Come up with a plan. Get you a notebook. Write your goals out. Write a plan for how you're going to get those goals. Write a daily plan where you follow every single day, and you repetitively do this every day, and you complete your task every day. And then also be good to people. Be a good person. When you're playing on those basketball teams, cultivate those relationships with your teammates. Cultivate those relationships with your coaches. When you come across people, introduce yourself. Make your network a wide web. You know what I mean? And then from there, continue, like I said in the beginning, continue to work hard. Take some time out each and every day to make sure that you're hitting on your goals, and you're going to get where you're going to get to, because one of the hardest things is being disciplined and being consistent. A lot of people fall off because they're not consistent and they're not disciplined. But if you're consistent and disciplined, you're going to be successful. And it's just like the old saying goes, if you shoot for the moon and you fall short, you're going to be amongst the stars anyway. So that's my spiel in terms of if you want to do what I do, don't focus on what I do. Focus on going past, because I got to where I got to so that you can go past me, so I can push you forward. And I expect you to do the same for the next person.
Words of the wise, word of the wise. Appreciate you sharing that, Chad. And we always, whenever we have a guest on, everyone, like you said, has unique perspectives, is coming from a different place, and wherever they're at in life, they're a basketball player, whatever. But I appreciate that, because that's true. Like, whenever you see a kid and he wants to be like that, pushing him forward, I really like that. So real spill for that. But so I just want to thank you for coming on the show, man. Appreciate
appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah. For real. This was great talking to you and learning more about what you do, what you're all about, on and off the court too. I really love the platform that you're starting to get going, man. I'm going to check that out for sure.
No doubt. I appreciate it. Y'all can check me out on Instagram, Coach C Bell, and also check out my show, Time Out with Chad Bell. And I want to congratulate you guys on your show. I myself have a show, so I understand what you guys are doing. Continue to build, continue to grow. Go from 200 followers, 300 followers, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, and, make it pop, make it great.
Exactly, man. You know what? That's gonna be the outro, man. I ain't got nothing else to say, man. Well, if that's it, then we out of here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.
Out.
Peace.